In part one, we created the phone and then we animated it. But in this part, we're going to take things a bit further and make the phone look like it has a scrolling feed like you would find on Instagram or Facebook. You can find the project files for free on my website in the description below. You don't need them to follow along, but it will make things a lot easier. Okay, let's get started. Okay, I've got Photoshop open here, and what I've done is, I'm emulating, Instagram here. So basically, I got some stock images, and I placed them in the center. I added in the Instagram icons and some comments below, and I set up a series of layers here with these different images. So it doesn't have to be in one file, but I do recommend just making them all the same size. It's just going to be easier bringing it in the Blender if they're all the exact same size. You can spend some extra time and make sure you get different comments and different information for those parts. But if it's like my project and what I made, it's going to be moving pretty quickly, so it may not be that important. One thing to note though is you want to give yourself a little leeway. For example, the icons are inside the image here, like this is the edge of the image, this is where the icon is, this one's on the inside, the profile pic is within the image too. And what that's going to do is it's just going to give us a little more leeway. Depending on the exact shape of your phone, these could start getting cut off if they're too close to the edge. So that's just one thing to keep in mind. And yeah, you can always go back and change it, but it's nice to get it right the first time. So basically, I'm just going to go ahead and just save this. You can do it as PSDs, but I'm just going to go ahead and do it as a JPEG. Just go ahead and save it. Might as well do the highest quality. Just going to go ahead and save another one. I'm just going to go through and save these out into a folder. Okay, so I'm just going to do that and then catch back up with you. Alright, so now I've got Blender open, and we're actually going to leave it in Blender Render, so make sure you have Blender Render open. And this is a new project, not the one we were working on before. I'm going to hit Shift A, select everything, X, and delete. And I want to go into the File, User Preferences, and under Add-ons, type in right here, just search for Plane. And you want to have this check marked. Okay, so with that enabled, we'll close out of that. And now we can do hold Shift, hit A, and under Mesh, there's Images as Planes. So navigate to where you save those images out. In my case, it's right here. And in the bottom left, we want to change from diffuse to shadeless. And I'm going to click Import. Okay, it looks like it came in the wrong direction, but if I hit Shift Z, you can see the image is there. I'm going to hit R, and let's see, which way do we need to go here? X 90, hit enter, and then what is this? R, Z, hit escape on that. R, Z negative 90, it looks like. Nope, sorry about that. R, Z 90. And hit Shift Z, and there is our image. Alright, so that's the first one added in. Now we're going to hit Shift A, add in our camera. And if I hit N to bring up my right panel, it's already at 0, 0, 0. I'm going to put it 90, 0, and what is this? Nope. 90, 0, and 90. Go ahead and pull this back and hit 0 to jump into that camera view. Okay, so I want to get my camera changed on the x-axis until we're right up against the edges of this image. I'm going to hit Shift Z, and we can see how that looks there. Okay. Okay, so we've got the image in the center here, but with Instagram, there's a top bar and a bottom bar that's always going to be in place even when this image is scrolling. So I've included it in the files on my website, so if you want that, go ahead and get it. So I'm just going to go again to Shift A, Mesh, Images as Planes. I've got the phone top right here. It's still shadeless. I'm going to click Import. And I'm going to navigate around. Oh, this came in very huge. Okay, so first I'm going to hit RX90, then RZ90 to to get it in the right direction. And I'm just going to pull it the teeniest little bit so it's ahead of that other plane. Hit 0 to go back into my camera view. I'm going to hit S and just scale this down until it makes sense. So I'm going to pull it up to the very top, and let's hit Shift Z and see how it's looking. Okay, so actually how I have it is it needs to be where you don't see any of the gray up into the edge of that. So I'm going to hit S and just scale it up. You might need to go out of your rendered view to make this work on your system, but that should be pretty good right there. I'm going to hit Shift Z, just going to pull it down a little bit. Okay, Shift Z again. Okay, so that should work well there. Now I'm going to hit Shift A again, images as plane, and bring in this bottom one. It's going to be the same thing. RX90, hit enter. RZ90, hit enter. And I'm going to hit 0 to go my front view. And this time I'm going to scroll down. I'm going to right click on this guy to see how much I scaled it. So it's 0.09. So I'm just going to right click on that, hit 0.09, 0.09, tab, 0.09, enter. Now they're the same size. Bring this to the bottom, hit Shift Z, and see how it looks. Oh, so currently it's in the same position as this image, so it's getting blocked. But if I navigate around, just pull it just a little bit forward. Oh, I put it right back, so right there, that'll work. Hit 0 and hit Shift Z. So now basically what that's allowing me to do is when I right click on this image, hit G for move and Z on the Z axis, I can move this image and those other pieces are going to stay in place just the way Instagram works. So I'm going to hit escape off of that, hit Shift Z, and if you haven't saved it yet, I'm going to go ahead and save my project. One thing I was forgetting about is that we can actually go right here to viewport shading and click on material, and that way we can see what we're doing a little bit better. So now I want to go ahead and just add the rest of the images, and so I've got this selected. I'm going to hit Shift D and Z. Just going to bring it down and left click about here. So now we just want to change out the image. So I'm going to go to the materials over here. I'm going to click the plus right here and then go over right there and hit this plus, and where it says image 1, I'm going to click on this little folder here and click on image 2. So that's how you can add in the other one, and then you don't have to keep bringing it in and rotating it. So I'm going to hit Shift D, Z, bring that down, put about, say, there. I'm going to go back over here, hit the plus, hit this plus, and change this to image 3. And I'm just going to do it one more time, Shift D, Z, put that one there, hit the plus, and change this image to image 4. Okay, so add in however many images you want, and space them however you need to, but I'm just going to do it like this so you can see what I'm doing. Go ahead and save. Alright, now with all of your images in place, I'm going to go ahead and hit Shift A, go to empty, and add in this empty here. I'm going to right click on the first picture, shift right click on the rest of them, and then as the last click, I'm going to shift right click on that empty. Hold Control and hit P and select that object. I'm going to hit A to deselect everything. I'm going to right click on this empty. I'm going to hit G for move and then Z. And you can see here they're all moving together now, and the other part is staying the same. So I'm going to hit escape on that. And so now really it's just a matter of keyframing it. So, and you may be doing this to music. If you're trying to sync it up to music, just know that you will go from your 3D view into your video sequence editor, and you can add sound right there. And once you do that, I'm not going to do it in this case, but if you want to add sound to be able to sync it up, you would do that. Go back to your 3D view, and then when you hit play, you'll hear the sound. But if you also want to hear it when you're scrubbing, under playback, you can click audio scrubbing. And then that way, you can just really fine-tune, hear what's going on. Alright, but like I said, I'm not going to do that, but that's how you would do it if you're trying to do it to music. I'm going to jump back to the first frame, hit 0. I've still got this empty selected. I'm just going to pull this little Z handle down. And actually, one thing I realized that I forgot is whenever the phone's, or whenever my image is not fully taking up this space, I want there to just be white there. So I'm going to zoom around, hit Shift A, add in just a plane. I'm going to right click, or sorry, hit R, X90, actually escape on that, RY90. I'm just going to drag that back so it's behind everything. Now, over here, I'm going to click New, and I'm going to make it perfectly white. And let's scroll down and see where shadeless is. Forget exactly, oh, it's actually right here. So under shading, you can click on shadeless. So now if I hit 0, you see that that will be filled with a perfectly white area back there. So I'm going to right click on this empty, and I'm going to pull up on this handle, get it into place. And I'm just going to put my mouse over here and hit I, and that's going to put a keyframe on this first location. And so really at this point, however you won't need to do it, I'm just going to say jump ahead maybe 2 seconds. I'm going to go to frame 48, and I'm going to hit GZ and just put it to where this is. And actually, if you see, I have these two overlapping, so I'm going to right click on this one, pull it down a bit so they're no longer overlapping. And you can do that without breaking it, because really it's just this parent that's controlling the movement. So I'm going to click back on the empty, and now I'm going to click I to lock in that keyframe. So if I scrub between these two spots, you see that we have the movement here. So I'm just going to go ahead, say about here, and this time I'm just going to pull up on the Z here, get this into place, and again, I'm not worrying about this exactly. You can tidy this up, and I'm going to hit I, and let's just go ahead and give this a test. So I'm going to go back and put my end frame at 110 just so we can preview this. I'm going to hit jump back to the first frame and hit play. So you can see that's how it's looking. So one thing with how I did it just now, we're not stopping at all. So realistically, what you'd probably want to do is here, I'm going to copy, I'm just going to hit copy on that Z position. So then that way you could jump ahead, have it stay still. I'm going to change this, paste in that value, and hit I. So now when I jump back and hit play, it'll go to that picture and then stop. So really it's just a matter of fine-tuning this, and like I said, if you're syncing it to music, you have to be more particular about it. If you have experience, if you don't have experience with the dope sheet, it would be a good time to go from 3D view to dope sheet. And it's just really nice that you can, I'm going to A to deselect, you could just hit B, select these keyframes, hit G and move them just like any other area, and you can just really easily move around your keyframes. So if you want to get things very specific, start playing with that. It's a really nice way to move around things. So at this point, though, I'm just going to, for example purposes, just call this part done and move along to the next step. So what we're going to do here is we're going to change the resolution all the way up to 100%. And I actually forgot, I wanted to make this a square. So I'm going to make this 1920. And that's changing our camera position a bit. So I'm going to right click on the camera and bring the X in. I'm going to move so I can see my whole frame here. And let's see, I'm going to bring it in to here. So this way we're not cutting anything off. We're getting right up into the edges of everything, and that's going to be good. So basically what we're going to do is now we're going to render this out as an image sequence, and then we're going to put that onto the phone in our other Blender file. So let me save this real quick, and under the output, I'm going to click on the folder here. Let's see, make a new folder, and it's going to be, call it whatever you want. I'm going to say Instagram images. Let's see, go into that. I misspelled it. Just going to say image feed or something, whatever you want. But I'm just going to save that. PNG is going to work. Oh, and actually I realized I didn't do 1920. My mistake. I do want it to be an exact square, and so I'm just going to redo this X position a little bit to make sure I've got everything. Okay, so it's a square, got the resolution up, and now you're good just to click on animation here. And I'm going to scroll out. It's just going to start rendering this out. All right, and I'll catch you back in our other file. All right, now that those the other images rendered out as an image sequence, I'm back to our first project, our first Blender file, and I'm just going to right-click on the phone, and hit N to close the right panel, bring this out, T to close the left panel, and I'm just going to bring up the UV. Actually, no, I'm going to go to the node editor first, and in my case, I need to click the orb right here to get into my materials. And let's see, so we are on the correct one here, and so I'm going to get rid of this basketball video, click open, and go to wherever you rendered out those images, and I'm going to click A, and that's going to select all of them here, and I'm going to click open image. So now if I go to my first frame here and hit Shift Z, you will see that we have it here, but actually it's not properly done right. So I'm going to hit Shift Z, in the right panel change it to UV image editor. I'm going to change with this little icon to the image feed, at least that's what mine's called. And I'm going to, actually we're not seeing any image though. Let me see. Okay, well I'm going to hit tab in the edit mode, hit U for unwrap, and then click unwrap. And I'm a little confused why we're not seeing the image here, but let's go ahead and hit Shift Z with our mouse over here, and it is showing up properly. So I'm just going to go ahead and hit G, X, and just center this up. And it would be easier if we were seeing the actual image. Maybe if I go to frame 1. I'm not sure why we're not getting that, but I'm just going to do a little trial and error here. And if you see here, I actually am getting my image cut off here. I should have done a little bit better of planning, really testing this out. So I would advise before you do, a ton of work, to kind of play with this more. But we can fudge it a little bit. I'm gonna hit S for scale and hit X, and I'm just gonna bring it out a little bit. It is gonna skew it a bit, but if you're only a little bit off, you should still be fine. I'm gonna hit G and X. I'm just going to move it over to about so, and that's going to work for me. So that should be good. I'm going to hit Shift Z, jump ahead, hit Shift Z, and you can see we've got our image on the phone, jump ahead, and it's playing through. So I'm going to hit Shift Z, and really everything, I'm going to tab out edit mode, everything's ready to go. If you have your settings all good, you've got it as an image sequence being output somewhere, you've got this all the way up, you've got how many samples you need, you're really ready just to hit render or on animation here, and you're all done. Alright, you're all finished. I hope that you enjoyed doing this project. If you did, please like and subscribe my channel. It'll help motivate me to keep making videos. Thanks for watching. Bye.